Hi, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Rhonda Jackson, serial entrepreneur, small business advocate, and your host of The Road to Recovery. Today joining us is Miss Anita Ron of Brightworks. How are you, Miss Anita?
Hi, Rhonda. I'm doing great today.
Okay, very good. I'm so glad to have you today. Anita, you are the consummate entrepreneur, and your entrepreneurial spirit has a legacy here in the Los Angeles area and in nation accounts. Will you tell us a little bit more about Brightworks and what you do?
Well, Brightworks is a commercial janitorial service located in Covina, California. We have about 130 employees. We do just about anything, a one-stop shop when it comes to janitorial services. Started the business 24 years ago with 3 vacuum cleaners and $700 and just worked our way up. I worked my way up, and right now we're at the point that we're doing well, and it's great to know that we're providing jobs out there in a time when it's so needed. So that's what Brightworks does.
Yes, no, and thank you for joining us today, because that's part of the thing that I thought of when I thought of you as a guest on the Road to Recovery is, one, your humble beginnings and why you started your business, and then the way that you've grown it and still participate in the community. So one of the ways that I like to start the show is I like to ask the guests if they have one word that they would use to describe the times. What would your one word be, Anita?
Wow. That's breathless. But I would say in this time, I would say it would be unbelievable. I just never would have thought we would be here. And so everything that's happening, it's just an unbelievable situation. And we're all living it together. So yeah.
Yeah. So the platform of this show is to help established and emerging entrepreneurs make it through the journey, right? Make it down the road. So my intent here is, when we talk about this and you sharing your journey, that other entrepreneurs could actually glean some tips or some best practices that you either implemented or wish you had have implemented or are now doing to be thriving in the times that we're in now. Do you mind having that discussion with me today?
Sure, no problem. Just ask.
All right, well, first question. So what's one thing, or not one thing, let's have a discussion about what you wish you would have known. The way that if you want to think about it, if COVID-19 and civil unrest, did it cause problems in your business or did it amplify problems in your business?
I think COVID caused problems in our business. We were running smooth. Mm-hmm. At the time, we had about 125 employees.
Yes.
And things were running smooth, but we took things for granted. When COVID happened, now you're looking at the time when there's a shortage of paper. Yeah. There's a time that no one could get sanitizer. No one knew the rules and the protocol, and business was closing down all over the place. Yeah. And at that moment, it was, how do we offset ourselves, and how do we had commitments still. Mm-hmm. We had contracts that we needed paper, and what we were going to do, and what did we have in hand that we could take care of them just in case of our suppliers were not able to give us what we needed. And we were able to get through that, but it was just projecting and making sure we had the stuff on hand prior, and making sure we were able to work. We didn't put all our opportunities or everything in one basket. What I mean is, when it came to suppliers.
Before you start that idea, I do want to kind of unpack what you earlier said, because what I heard you say is there were things that operationally you had to shift and do a little different. Can we talk a little bit about that before we move into opportunities?
Yeah.
So, okay. So the operations.
Well, the operations.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. As far as operations, I felt that we needed to make sure we were meeting the needs of the client.
Yes.
And so what we did in that capacity, we did everything we were doing, but now everything needed to follow a sense of knowledge that there was communication for everybody.
Okay.
All our staff, our clients.
So getting the team, essentially the 125, 130 people, to be working off the same agendas and protocols and processes was important for you, yes?
Exactly. And making sure that the team was safe out there. What were the protocols for that? What we were going to be giving them? What PPEs they had in hand?
Yeah.
What was it that they were going to be instructing the client to do? Because the client was asking for there was questions that they had.
Yes.
Now it was a health issue.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So now you're saving lives on both sides, or protecting lives on both sides. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of protection, what is something you wish you would have known to do as far as protecting maybe your business, the entity itself, and its survival?
I feel that as the day continued, Brightworks became vulnerable in different areas. For example, we were being attacked in the sense that product was not because it was our fault, but product wasn't being delivered at the time that was needed. So that was one area. And so we had to proactively think about how we were going to successfully get through that.
Okay.
Addition, our cars were being vandalized, and we had about 4 or 5 situations that cars were being vandalized, and that was product, that was downtime. So we had to proactively try to resolve those issues as well.
Okay. So as you're streamlining processes, do I hear you saying that now you're putting in place checks and balances to kind of even protect your business from future incidents like this?
I think a lot of the checks and balances were there, but now it's making sure that they're not compromised. We're making them stronger.
Okay.
People are now understanding them, and if there is a situation that it doesn't work, what is the next step? So people in our organization understand those much better.
So aligning some sort of
Out.
protocol. So aligning some sort of protocol.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're protected, not only our business, but the customer, the clients essentially, and then also our employees as they go out into the field and work under these conditions. What was maybe a saving grace? What was an element of, your thought process on how you were going to best, I keep thinking of a ship, and how you kind of bail out water. What can you tell us about some steps that you kind of went into emergency mode, or things that you checked on first in your business?
I think one of the things was being very transparent with my staff.
Okay.
I didn't have all the answers. I was the leader on the ship, but yet, as a business owner at the time, I would say, all of us would say, we didn't have the answers. We didn't know what was going to happen the next day. And many of us just thought maybe it's just going to pass like a month or a couple of weeks, and then it's going to be over.
Right.
And then as we started realizing this is not going to be over, it's not going to be over in May, it's not going to be over in June. So I think it was me letting my staff know and being as vulnerable as I could be and honest and being transparent with them,
Right.
letting them know that it was going to be all of us together. It was not about me. And it was not about them. It was about all of us. We were going to make sure that we were taking care of the family, my Brightworks family. And I think by them seeing that,
yes,
then it became so much easier. Now we were a group. We were soldiers. We were warriors. We were out there making sure every day, because Brightworks is open 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Okay.
We are now doing COVID disinfecting. So we're out there constantly. We're there from the Northern California all the way down to San Diego. So I mean, we really have a footprint in everything in a sense. And so for us, it was just like, let's get back to basics. Our basics was our mission statement.
And share that. What is it?
Our mission statement is to provide a high quality, consistent service for our clients, to provide a clean, friendly, healthy environment for our clients.
Yes.
And so we just went back to basics. That was the most important thing. We were going to provide a healthy, clean environment. And we continued that process, and we continue it today. That was the priority. People was a priority.
So Anita, then as a part of providing that service, you had to actively kind of check like different buckets in your business, right? Are you checking your accounts payable? Are you checking your accounts receivable? Like, how was your response to the running of the business, the operational side?
I think the first step was where are we at? So knowing where you are on the map, whether it was good or bad, where were we at? Who owed us? Where was Brightworks? How long could we last without one client paying us? And
Yes.
so immediately I called up my accountant who works, who's on our team. And I said, hey, where are we at? And she's working remotely. And she goes, oh, Anita, it would be, your doors will stay open till May. So I was like,
Okay.
holy, okay. So
Right.
then that's not good. So, all right, well, who owes us? And so that was the next step. Who owes us? Because now we got to start making those nice little calls. So we became very proactive in that. We became like, we're going to make sure we're going to stay open. So we're going to make sure we do everything that we can do in order to keep these doors open. So it's basically connecting with the bankers, connecting with people that we felt that what we're going to make a difference just in case if we went through a little bit of a hiccup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you still be around though. 'Cause I hear, even in our pre-talks, and again, you and I have known each other for several years, is your commitment not just to the business itself. Like you said, it's not just about Anita, but I like how you framed it, the Brightworks family. And that includes, sounds like to me, your clients and your staff. So your commitment to that, I think, strengthens, if I were your employee, I believe your transparency, your commitment, your passion, and your, overall concern for people. I like how that we have a couple of other videos where people have shared, reducing expenses and things like that. But I don't think anyone's mentioned actually checking on your receivables to see who owes you money and get those bills paid in. So like you said, that cash flow can keep running. So that's a really good one. I like the compounded support. If you want to talk a little bit more about that of your employees. So what was their response once you shared with them where you were and your intentions with the business? How was that received by your team?
One of the things I started realizing day on, first couple of days, I'm sure that every business owner felt the same way, that, wow, this is not stopping here and I need to be strong about it, So for me, in order to be strong, I needed to communicate to our employees exactly what we were going to do. This is a protocol. This is how we're going to keep you safe. This is what we're going to do to make sure that you're meeting the needs of the clients. I have a lot of family members working for me, as now, some of them started working for us just recently during COVID. So now we have about 12 members, whether it's brother, sister, daughter, son,
Right.
And nephew, niece, they're all working for us. And so for us, for me, it was like, wow, it was not just my own family, but it was everybody. And I started realizing it wasn't just the responsibility to make sure there was food on the table for my family, but for my extended Brightworks family. Meaning that, wow, it became like, oh gosh, what did I create here? If I would have known this was what I was going to create, 24 years ago, I would have probably stopped a little bit and probably prepared it better, right?
Yes. Yeah, things we would do different.
Yeah. But in the sense that what I felt what I needed to do is open up with my staff, letting them know that we were all together in this.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to do whatever we could to make sure the doors stood open. And everybody says, well, Anita, you must be making, you must be doing really well because you have a janitorial company. But what they don't see is, yes, and I'm responsible for that 130 employees. What they didn't see is, yes, we have 130 employees right now, but we actually lost a lot of our contracts that were reduced, closed their doors. So we were at 110 employees at one time. So we've actually grown through the process. And our goal was to make sure that every single person came back and was employed again. Or if the doors were closed, that we kind of pivoted in a way to find something else that they could do.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to the emerging and established entrepreneurs that either are in the transition of pivoting, but they want to keep their doors open? What actionable thing would you tell them today to go and do? What one thing?
If you're starting company that you're trying to open up your doors, get the processes in place first. Don't open up your doors and just say it will come. And that could have happened probably before COVID or any of the situations, but I think right now, have everything in place in a sense that you're ready to roll and know those protocols, because that's what's going to save you. When things get kind of ruffled up in the day-to-day operations, you always can fall back on that and just reinforce what you're there for and what you're there to provide.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Anita, if there are business owners that would like more advice,
The best way to get a hold of us is www.brightworks.com. That's BRITEWORKS.com.
and I think your experience will help grow another business. So, I thank you for coming on to the Road to Recovery. I thank you for being a guest today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rhonda. It's been fun.